All right, so we're gonna make a grilled potato salad here with a vinaigrette made out of lemon juice, some Dijon mustard. We're gonna put some goat cheese in there as well, but let's make the dressing. Okay, the first thing I'm gonna do, before I forget, is before I cut the lemons to get the juice out, I'm gonna use a zester and harvest some of the zest off of the outside of the lemon. I always like to say, you buy a lemon, you get zest for free, and there's tons of flavor in the zest. And get the juice. Some Dijon mustard. These are ingredients you're gonna find even in your everyday supermarket. Some lemon. I'm gonna add just a tiny bit of honey, just to kind of balance out the mustard and the vinegar. Slowly add some olive oil. We're gonna put the potatoes on the grill in just a second. It's good to have the vinaigrette ready so that you can actually dress it while the potatoes are still warm. It'll just make the potato salad that much better. Chop up some fresh tarragon. And I like the idea of sort of reinforcing the tarragon from the chicken to the potatoes. Remember, we have the tarragon in our salsa verde as well. Some salt and pepper. Let's give this a taste. Very nice. A little more olive oil. It's pretty lemony. It's not a bad thing. All right, we're gonna get our potatoes going. All right, so these potatoes I par-cooked for about 8 minutes. So the one thing about a gas grill, especially for somebody that doesn't have a lot of experience cooking chicken outside, we know that the heat is gonna be even and consistent. A charcoal grill, you're probably gonna get more flavor from the charcoal itself, but it's a little bit harder to control. All right, so I'm gonna cut my potatoes up in quarters. We're gonna get a nice char on the potatoes, make sure that they're cooked all the way through, but we're gonna put them in this basket so that they're easy to kind of get off the grill, and that's the key. If you put these on individually, you're bound to lose a few. Okay, so I'm gonna put these back in the bowl for just a second. A little canola oil, some salt and pepper, just to grill the potatoes. We can put them right into our grill basket. Make sure they're evenly distributed. Pop them on the grill. That simple. Nice crusty potatoes. And we have our dressing. What I like to do always is I like to actually dress the potatoes while they're still warm with the dressing. So it's really important to keep the dressing sort of at the ready. All right, so I'm gonna add a little goat cheese and some arugula to this. The goat cheese has that pungent goat flavor, but also gives it some creaminess. A little salt and pepper. And we're just gonna fold it one time. Otherwise, we're gonna wilt the arugula too much, and the goat cheese will actually get a little messy as well. There we go. Beautiful potato salad. So, you know, this is what squid looks like, okay? And they're actually very easy to clean. Now, basically, you separate the head from the body, okay? We're gonna cut where the tentacles meet the eye. You just have the head, so to speak, but it's just basically the tentacles, all right? And then with the body, what you wanna do is actually peel it, and the skin comes right off. When people are frying calamari, very often you'll see them, you know, cut these into rings like this, okay? But what I'm going to do is actually, I'm just going to make a slice like this and open it up so it's like a calamari steak. I score it with a knife so it doesn't actually shrivel up. Okay, and there's our calamari. What we're gonna do is make a very quick marinade for both the squid and the calamari. We're gonna use some lemon juice and some olive oil. And I think we need some garlic for this too, definitely. Okay, I just kind of like to beat up the garlic with my knife a little bit, and then take some kosher salt, and then just kind of crush it with the side of my knife. So garlic, lemon juice, olive oil. All right, we're gonna put some of the shrimp and the squid right in here. Just let it sit there for a couple of minutes. Not a long time. We don't want to marinate the fish for too long because then it actually breaks down its texture. All right, so we have some of the shrimp, and then we're gonna also take some of the calamari. And then we have the squid steak, so to speak. Let's go to the grill. Okay, we have a nice hot grill here, and we're gonna put the shrimp right next to the shrimp. Everybody's gonna have their own department. And we're gonna take our squid heads, and then our squid steaks. And be careful, you just wanna lay these on very carefully. Okay, well, the shrimp are probably gonna take about 2.5 minutes on each side. Okay, they're pretty thick, and we want them to be cooked all the way through. The squid heads are probably gonna take about maybe 30 seconds on each side, and the squid steak, so to speak, will probably take about 10 to 15 seconds on each side, and they go very quickly. We'll take a look at our shrimp. You see how beautiful they are? All right, so we're gonna take these squid steaks are done. Okay, these are ready. All right, now we can plate this beautiful salad here. We're gonna leave it right on the skewers. There's lots of squid, lots of shrimp. And let's just grill a couple of lemons. Straight onto the grill. All right, so while those lemons are cooking, we can take our beautiful smoked tomato and black olive relish and kind of just drop it right on top of our shellfish here. And then we're just gonna take a little bit of Greek olive oil. So we got our grilled lemons. And I just take one and I just kind of squeeze it right on top of the, oh, this is amazing. All right, let's make some tuna with some caramelized onions. These onions are gonna have a little bit of crushed red pepper in them and some cinnamon. It's kind of a cool recipe. So we're gonna thinly slice our onions. So we're gonna take our onions, we're gonna put them right into a saute pan with some oil, and we're gonna let them caramelize. We're gonna give it a little help by adding a little bit of sugar, some salt and pepper, and some crushed red peppers, and a few cinnamon sticks, which is kind of cool. You know, Sicily has so much influence, different influence in their food. Obviously Italian from the mainland of Italy, but also from places like Greece, Morocco, you know, some of that North African flavor that kind of sneaks in and seeps into the food there. That's why the food there is so just amazing and so diverse and so very different than what you might consider a typical Italian food. So we're gonna let these cook down. The cinnamon and the crushed red pepper will permeate those onions, and we'll get a nice sort of color on them. The sugar will help that. I mean, there's natural sugars in the onions as well, but by adding a little extra sugar, it just kind of helps the cause a little bit. Now, tuna. That's a great piece of fish right there. You know, in the south of Italy, very, very popular. And these are big fish, you know, these are huge fish. So think of it as like a steak. You can really hold it to lots of big flavors. Let's cut some steaks out of here. And when I cook tuna, I usually don't like thin steaks. I want it to be sort of thick, you know? Something like that, maybe like 1 inch to 1.5 inches in thickness. You want the tuna to be nice and firm. You want it to have a real sort of brightness to it. I think 3 is enough. I always tell people, like when you go to the fish store, you can actually look at the fish and tell if the fish is tired. I mean, it has this tired look to it if it's not as fresh. But if it's glistening, that means that it's probably really, really fresh. Let those keep cooking. Very simple here. Some light oil like a canola oil, just lightly brushed. A good amount of salt and pepper. Remember, this is a very dense piece of fish, so we need some good seasoning here. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. And we're gonna cook these fairly rare. So it's gonna go pretty quickly, which means we need some high heat on our grill. So we're gonna take the tuna off now. Don't wanna overcook the tuna. Beautiful. All right, tuna's done, nice and rare. Just wanna sort of sear it on the outside. Otherwise, you're gonna lose that beautiful moisture from the tuna. We have some onions that I've been caramelizing with a little bit of crushed red pepper, tiny bit of sugar, and some cinnamon stick. And we're gonna take the cinnamon sticks out because these are not edible. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a little bit of red wine vinegar, a splash of olive oil, and some fresh mint and parsley. We're gonna finish it with the herbs. Just stir it in, take it off the heat, grab some tongs. Put the onions right on top of the tuna. All the juices from the onions will just kind of drip down. This totally reminds me of Sicily. Some of this delicious olive oil, and I'm gonna take just a couple of sprigs of flat Italian parsley. There we go. Tuna and onions. All right, gotta make sure this tastes right. I always think Mediterranean food is always good with a splash of olive oil at the end. Doesn't hurt, that's for sure. The first thing you notice is the fresh mint, and then out of nowhere comes that cracked red pepper to just say, hello, I'm here. A little bit of heat, and it just works so well with this tuna. I'm gonna start on my barbecue sauce now. Onions and garlic, got a little toasted there. I'm gonna start with ketchup as the base. I'm gonna add a little red wine vinegar for some acidity. Some Worcestershire sauce. Got some of that tart tamarind flavor from the Worcestershire sauce. Some Dijon mustard, some spiciness. And then I have some chipotles, smoked jalapenos, for some smoky, fiery flavor. So I'm gonna add some sweetness here, some brown sugar, some honey, some ancho chili powder. And the great thing about the ancho chilies is not only do they add flavor, but they also act as a thickening agent.
Really?
Yeah, especially dried chilies. They have the characteristic that actually thickens things up. I'm gonna add a little molasses.
Yeah.
It's gonna make it thick and rich. And then a little bit of water just to thin it out a little bit.
Okay.
Here's the base of my barbecue sauce. Remember, we started with onions and garlic, and we added, ketchup as the base, some Dijon mustard, brown sugar, molasses, honey, smoked jalapenos, and a couple other things as well. And then I took some balsamic vinegar, and I reduced the balsamic vinegar down almost to a glaze, to a balsamic syrup, so it has a nice thick consistency.
Wow.
And when you do that, there's a good amount of sugar in there, so it's actually gonna have sort of a nice sweet and acid balance to it. And I'm gonna add this to my barbecue sauce. I wanna make sure you get all this out. This is pretty intense stuff.
That looks amazing.
Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my immersion blender, and I'm just gonna blend up the sauce now that I have all the ingredients in there, because I wanna get all those onions and garlic blended in there. Okay, I have my balsamic barbecue sauce done. I'm gonna let that sit. All right, I'm gonna just take my flank steak now, and it's one of the lesser expensive cuts of meat, and I think it has fantastic flavor. There are some keys as to making sure that it's really tender, such as if you overcook flank steak, it really tends to dry out and gets a little chewy. But also, you want to cut the flank steak against the grain very thinly, and then you'll have a delicious steak. It just has so much flavor to it. Now, I'm gonna just season it with some salt and pepper. Okay, good amount on both sides.
It's a lot of salt and pepper, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. It has to penetrate, the density of this meat, which is, it's pretty dense. And it also, when I grill it, it's gonna help me form a crust on the outside of it. All right, so I'm gonna get my flank steak on. Nice hot grill. I'm gonna cook my steak around medium rare, but I don't wanna flip this. I'm gonna turn this one single time. Seth was asking me about the salt and pepper. I'm gonna let the salt and pepper create a crust on the outside, but if I keep flipping it and flipping it and flipping it, I'm not gonna get a crust. It's gonna look more like I boiled it. You know what I mean? Direct heat is your friend, especially if you're trying to get something nice and crusty on the outside. All right. I'm gonna get my flank steak off the grill, and I'm just gonna put these on these platters. I'm gonna let the flank steak rest. And I got some grilled toast. I'm gonna make my sandwiches sort of open face. I'm gonna put my toast back on, and I'm gonna melt some Monterey Jack cheese right onto the toast. So you have your open face sandwich there with the flank steak, balsamic, barbecue sauce, a little Monterey Jack cheese.
Wow. It's wonderful. It just falls apart in your mouth. It's amazing.
All right, so we're gonna make some grilled sweet potato wedges with a molasses butter. And I'm gonna add some orange to that as well. But first thing I'm gonna do is get the sweet potatoes on the grill. Now what I did was I par-cooked these first. I boiled them for about 15 to 20 minutes till they're soft all the way through, and then you wanna let them cool. Now you can do a couple different things. You can actually cut them into wedges, which is nice. It's a cool shape, and they have a lot of surface area for some charring. Or you can cut them into circles, like that. So I think we'll do a little bit of each. Smaller wedges. Makes it a little more interesting. So we're just going to brush with a little canola oil and salt and pepper, and that's something you hear me say a lot. For vegetables, for meats, I really keep it simple. I don't mix it up when it comes to, how I'm gonna grill things. I bring all the flavor to the party either by using spice rubs or glazers or barbecue sauces, but when I'm grilling something, it's usually canola oil, salt and pepper, because you're always gonna have those things in the pantry. A little salt and pepper. Let's go to the grill. All right, we have a nice hot grill here, and we part cook the sweet potatoes so that all we're really doing is kind of heating them through and charring them on the outside. All right, while those are cooking, we can make our molasses butter very quickly. I'm just gonna take some butter that's completely soft. You see how nice and room temperature that is? A little salt and pepper. Some orange zest. Orange and molasses goes really well together. And I'm making a compound butter. Chefs make compound butters all the time. Just some unsalted butter, and then you can add any kind of flavor you want. It could be an herb butter like basil. It could be a honey butter. I make an orange honey butter for biscuits, but I love the idea of molasses for these sweet potatoes. And just a pinch of cinnamon. And you want to make sure your butter is ready to go when your sweet potatoes come off the grill, because we're gonna actually paint them with the butter while the sweet potatoes are still warm. All right, let's flip our sweet potatoes. Beautiful char on the outside. Remember, they're already cooked through, so we're just getting some color on them and some of that smoky flavor. Perfect. Let's quickly slice up some green onions. This will be the garnish on top of our sweet potatoes. Get them. And I like the idea of having different shapes. Looks nice. All right, so when they're still warm, take your butter and just quickly brush the molasses butter on them. We don't want to drown them in butter, we just want to enhance the flavor of the sweet potatoes with the molasses, the butter, the orange, the cinnamon. It's beautiful. And, don't forget, we're cooking some Southern food here. Sweet potatoes, Southern, molasses, one of sweet potatoes' best friends. Look how beautiful that looks. A little sprinkling of green onions. And there we go. Let's give it a taste. I'm a huge sweet potato fan. Love, love, love sweet potatoes because it has a really nice natural sweetness to them. But then you add a little butter with some of the molasses, it just brings out the natural sweetness of the sweet potato even more so. And this is just, an easy way, and it's quick. It doesn't take any time at all to get that Southern flavor going. Right in your own backyard. Now, these are sea scallops, which are the larger ones. The bay scallops are the smaller ones. But I think for grilling, sea scallops work really nicely because they're a little bit meatier. I'm gonna take 2 skewers and go like this so that they stay nice and flat. All right, so I'm just gonna take a little bit of canola oil and just brush on the sea scallops. I'm gonna season these with salt and pepper. We're gonna go to our grill. I'm gonna put this right over the direct heat. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. So while our sea scallops are cooking, we can start to make our dressing. Take a little bit of mayonnaise and then a little bit of mustard. And I'm going to use these cherry peppers where they're sort of a little acidic, a little bit spicy, which I just love. And then we're going to add parsley and some fresh thyme. We're gonna use some lemon juice. Now, I'm gonna use some zest for our breadcrumbs. So I'm gonna take the zest out right now because I'm gonna use the juice of the lemon for the vinaigrette. Let's see our sea scallops. That's what I'm talking about, right there. Just gorgeous. Okay, we cooked them for about 4 minutes on one side. We're not gonna cook it for another 4 minutes on the other side because then they'll be overcooked. Maybe 60 to 90 seconds and then we'll take them off. So now we can finish up our dressing. About 3 cloves of garlic, some red wine vinegar, some fresh lemon juice. I'm gonna blend this up. Add a little bit of extra virgin olive oil. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to toast the breadcrumbs with a little bit of olive oil right in this cast iron pan. I'm just gonna let these dry out for a minute. I'm gonna chop up some parsley. That are gonna go in the breadcrumbs too, so it's gonna be the parsley and our lemon zest. Okay. This is what we wanna see. Some toasted breadcrumbs, and we're ready to eat. Take the lemon zest and the parsley, and as soon as the heat hits that lemon zest, you can smell the aroma from the lemon. That's it, we're ready to go. It's like a creamy dressing of the cherry peppers, red wine vinegar, some lemon juice, parsley. And then we're gonna take gorgeous breadcrumbs here. It's just gonna add so much texture. Okay, there it is, beautiful. You know what, I gotta try one of these. So much incredible flavor. Those are ridiculous. I'm gonna make a Louisiana burger. A spice rub to crust on top of the burger, and I'm gonna make a remoulade, a classic Louisiana sauce, mayonnaise based, has a couple different mustards in it. So we're gonna start with sweet paprika, a little cayenne pepper for some heat. Then we have some onion and some garlic powder, and these are all real classic dried spices that you'll see in a lot of New Orleans or Louisiana cuisine. Some dried thyme, and then a whole bunch of black pepper and some salt. Mix that up. Well, in my burger, I take the patty and I kind of flatten it out. I take my thumb and I make a well in the burger. When I put the burger on the grill, it's gonna start to plump up, so I don't have to actually get it back to the shape.
You don't have to mash it.
Exactly right.
Okay, I will have to tell my guy friends that because they think that touching the food is the way to go on the
Well, you know
grill.
what I like to say? There are two kinds of guys in the world. Guys that can grill and guys that think they can grill. So I'm gonna take a little bit of canola oil and I'm just gonna brush the burger just a tiny bit so that the spice rub stays on it. A good amount of salt and pepper. And then the spice rub. So now I'm gonna put the burger's spice side down. Good sizzle there. All right, so my burgers are on the grill, spice side down.
Okay.
And here's a really important rule. I only turn them once. This is for all your guy friends, who are like to grill a lot.
Pay attention, guy friends.
Exactly.
Okay.
I don't want to touch it. I want it to get nice and crusty on the outside.
Okay.
And the only way I can do that is let the burgers alone.
The bottom side's kind of hiding. How do you know when it's time to flip it over?
Well, you can just give like a peek.
Okay.
You know? Let's take a look here. Okay, we can flip this one. You see that?
Ooh, okay.
Nice and crusty on the outside, and the spice rub has really become part of the burger.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna put half a slice of ham on each one of the burgers, and I'm gonna cover it up with our pepper jack cheese. So it goes something like this. Just sending home that Louisiana flavor.
Ooh, that looks good.
Yeah. Then I'm gonna take some pepper jack cheese. I'm gonna put 2 slices of cheese on my burgers, just because I like extra cheese always. That's my thing. So I'm toasting my hamburger rolls here, which I think is a must. I forgot to do one thing in our remoulade. This is gonna be our condiment for the burger. I actually forgot to put cornichons in here. So it's just mayonnaise, 2 mustards, whole grain and Dijon, some scallions, some parsley, and then the cornichons. So I'm gonna put a little remoulade on the bottom of the bun, just a tiny bit. Let's check on our burgers. See, that one looks good. All right, so I'm gonna put a little remoulade right on top of the burger here. I like contrast of texture, so I put very thin, crisp potato chips on my burger. I call it crunchification. You want yours crunchified?
I do.
All right, you got it. The idea is to kind of crunch it down. So when you pick it up, kind of crunch it down like with the potato chips.
Okay.
So it'll be easier to eat.
Did you have some too?
I'm gonna have one right now.
Oh, okay. So you gotta crunch it down. Ooh, I can see
Nice
the
and
juice
juicy.
is ready.
What kind of flavors are you picking up?
Mustard?
Yeah, exactly. The mustard's in the remoulade. There's 2 different mustards in there. Gives it a little bit of moisture.
This is really good. I feel like it does have all the flavors of Louisiana.
All right, cool. A halibut fish taco in the style of Veracruz. I'm gonna start by just brushing my halibut and take a look at how beautiful this fish is. Just pearly white, has a great density to it. All right, so some salt and pepper, and I'm gonna use some chili powder. This is ancho chili powder. I'm gonna turn it over, and we're gonna do the same thing on the bottom as well. I have a nice hot grill here, and we're just gonna sear this top side down first. Okay, very important when you're grilling fish. The longer this halibut sits on that hot grill, the easier it will come away from the grate itself, okay? So we're just gonna let it work. So now we have our tomatoes and our jalapenos that we grilled. We can actually start making our relish while our halibut cooks. So I'm going to dice up our tomatoes. Now, you can see it still has a lot of texture to it. So now the jalapenos, I'm just gonna slice very thinly. Capers, this is where Spain helps Mexico out. Some Spanish olives. I love green olives. Then we're just gonna cut these in half. Some Mexican oregano, which is actually a dried oregano. And dried herbs are very, very strong, so we're just gonna put a little bit in there. Some red onion. Some red onion. Some lime juice. We'll just squeeze away. A little splash of olive oil. And that should be our Veracruzana relish. Beautiful. Let's check on our fish. We lost a tiny bit, but that's pretty good, okay? Cover it up and let it finish cooking on the inside. Let's warm some tortillas. Corn tortillas. Now you can use flour tortillas if you want. And I just like to put them on the grill just to get them to be a little pliable. You probably should use a pair of tongs to do this, but since I've been cooking for so long, I have no feelings left in my hand, so it doesn't really matter anymore. Cover these up. All right. Okay. Beautiful. So now what I like to do is just break it up into pieces. Love this fish. I'm just gonna take some fresh lime, squeeze it on top, some fresh cilantro, a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, and then I have some cabbages here as well. So a little bit of raw red cabbage, maybe some Napa cabbage. So you're almost making like a halibut and cabbage salad. And now we're ready to make some tacos. So we're just gonna take a tortilla, some of our halibut, and then some of our Veracruzana relish, fold it up. Taco time. Let's start with the tilapia. We have this beautiful fish here, and we're gonna make a sauce and grill the fish basically at the same time. So what we're gonna do is make a version of a classic butter sauce known as a beurre blanc in French. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take some shallots. We're gonna peel our shallots. We're gonna take some shallots, some white wine, some lemon juice and some lemon zest. So first we'll take the zest off. And might as well squeeze some of the juice in there too. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna use our tilapia fillets, and the tilapia is it's a white fish. It's very mild in flavor, but it has a nice density to it. It's a good dense fish. Now, if you can't find tilapia, we can use something like red snapper or halibut, something along those lines. And we're gonna just rub that with some canola oil and salt and pepper, so we get it on the grill. Season it with salt and pepper. Okay, 4 minutes on one side, give it a flip, another 4 minutes, maybe 8 minutes total. Now a flakier fish, such as tilapia or red snapper or halibut, is gonna be a little tougher to grill than say something that's in a steak form, like tuna or swordfish. But the key to this is letting it cook so that it comes away from the grill almost on its own, so you can give it one quick flip, just like that. We're gonna cover this up, and we're gonna let this cook. We're gonna sort of keep the heat in there. And then really it should only be about maybe a minute and a half longer, and then we're gonna take it off because we don't want this fish to overcook or the asparagus. So, let's get our fish off the grill before it overcooks. And that's another thing that, you know, people say to me all the time, that they like to cook fish on the grill, but they overcook it. Just take it off a little bit sooner than you think it's gonna take. I mean, it's really gonna cook almost in no time. Okay, now what we started here was some shallots, some lemon zest, and some lemon juice. And now we're gonna add just a touch of heavy cream, just a touch. This is a really good trick. It's a good way to stabilize a butter sauce so that it doesn't separate. Tricks of the trade. Okay, and now we're just gonna start adding a whole bunch of unsalted butter. Okay, let's go back over to the fish. Okay, and now we could add a whole bunch of capers in here. And we can actually start to plate the fish with the sauce. Give it some flavor. So I'm gonna make a turkey burger as well. I'm actually going to top mine with some goat cheese, and then I'm going to make a honey mustard and Meyer lemon sauce. So I'm gonna start with some honey, and then some Dijon mustard, and then I'm gonna take some Meyer lemons. Now Meyer lemons, you might not be able to find them all year round, or you know where you live, but if you can't, that's okay, because you can sort of emulate the flavor by taking a lemon and some orange, because it really tastes like a lemon that has been kissed by an orange. I'm gonna squeeze the lemon juice. I'm gonna take a strainer so I can actually catch the seeds. A little salt and pepper. I think what I'm gonna do is take another lemon and just kind of get some zest in there too, because the zest really gives it a lot of flavor. So I'm gonna assemble my turkey burgers. This is just ground turkey. What I like to do with my burgers is I just like to keep them actually nice and pure. Just the ground turkey, some salt and pepper, a little bit of canola oil or vegetable oil on the outside, and then we let them grill. All right, so now I'm gonna take a little bit of canola oil and brush the canola oil right on top of the burgers. A little salt and pepper on both sides. And we can get these on the grill. So I am also gonna toast my hamburger rolls.
That's the way to do it.
Gotta do it, don't you think?
Definitely.
All right. Now the bun shouldn't really take too long. I mean, literally, you know, maybe 30 seconds. You have to be really careful, depending on how hot your grill is. All right, so I'm gonna turn these now. And that's what you wanna see. Nice and crusty on the outside. Let them finish cooking. So I'm gonna take, on the bottom of our buns, I'm gonna take a little bit of our honey mustard, Meyer lemon sauce.
Ooh, that's pretty.
Yeah, it's really pretty, and it tastes really good. It's a little sweet, a little spicy, a little citrusy. So I'm gonna actually start putting a little goat cheese on the burger now and let it start to warm up on the grill while the rest of it cooks through. All right, I think these are done. I'm gonna put some of our sauce right on top. And for some freshness and a little bit of crunch, watercress. There we go. Yeah, to me, that's like perfectly cooked.
Wow,
it's cooked all the way through,
meaty.
but at the same time, it's still a little juicy. Give it a shot there.
Okay. That is juicy and delicious. And the goat cheese comes out, it's so fresh, but the slight sweetness.
The honey and the mustard, yeah. I mean, to me, it
what
works.
makes it.
It works well with the goat cheese.